Welcome to the Halo Effect, hospitality stories with Ashleigh and Michael Donald.
With over 40 years working in the hospitality industry, we've lived some incredible experiences, and as a husband and wife team, we continue to forge our path through business and life that continues to present challenges and opportunities. Through this podcast, we would like to share these experiences and provide some behind-the-scenes insights into the world of hospitality and entrepreneurship.
We hope that this will help anyone who is on a similar journey by sharing how we forged our own path through this incredibly rewarding, yet often challenging industry. Well, hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Halo Effect Hospitality Stories with Ashleigh and Michael Donald. Today we are going to be talking about guest reviews. In a world where Cornell University say that a 1-point rating increase in your guest review can have a huge effect on both your number of bookings and your ADR, 14.2% increase in the number of bookings and 11.2% increase in ADR. It's pretty clear that you want to try and get as high a rating as you possibly can with guest reviews. It's often a sort of a pride thing for hotels, I think. People like to get those 5-star reviews things in, and certainly your rating in comparison to your competitors is always as good a one to have. But also when you get those 1 and 2-star reviews, it can be pretty heart-wrenching as well, and often people can get quite defensive. So it's an area of hospitality that is really, really important to customers as well as to owners and operators and investors. But those guest reviews, they have become absolutely crucial. Ash, how do you see reviews in the industry from a marketing perspective?
I think looking back over time, there's always been some form of guest feedback, whether that's a simple survey, after they've stayed. And, we worked for many years for Starwood, and they had some really detailed sort of post-stay surveys. Often that at the time was kept sort of very much internally and used as a KPI in terms of the sort of guest satisfaction. But of course now, we're so much more visible online. TripAdvisor was very much the lead in terms of being the kind of main platform for those guest reviews. And really interestingly, they're now in third place globally, with Google being second and Booking.com being the number 1 platform for guest reviews. So, it is an ever-evolving world, and I think it's really interesting to see what Google are doing in this space around guest reviews, because they're
want to take over, right?
Well, yeah, I think they want to take over the OTAs, the flights. So yeah, they're really kind of gaining in the whole kind of travel and hospitality market. But the simple fact that a better rating on Google also can positively impact your search engine optimization. So there's a real kind of marketing reason to really push for more reviews and obviously better reviews to really help your visibility and your marketing. So it's really kind of touches all different areas, and I think it's becoming more fragmented. And of course you've got your ratings on various social media platforms as well, Facebook, etc. So there's a huge conversation around reviews and also how true to life some of those reviews are. So yes, there's definitely some questions around authenticity and relevance of reviews, but also I always personally, whenever I'm looking at staying somewhere and researching, I will look at reviews, but I tend to try and take a little bit of a pinch of salt with that, because I think to motivate to yourself to write a review, you've either had to have had a really exceptional experience or really terrible experience. Because if it's been okay and it was fine, and actually even sometimes if it was just really good but not exceptional, you're not motivated to write a review. But if it was really bad, oh yes, you are. So yeah, I think we do need to just have a sort of common sense approach that actually those are the very best and the very worst experiences that we're reading often in those reviews. So trying to sort of have a balanced review of those and look at multiple channels when you are researching a hotel or a destination. Just trying to use your best judgment with that review as well.
For me, the key when it comes to the reviews is the number of reviews that any particular, certainly on it's Google, Booking.com and TripAdvisor. But if there's only 5 reviews and it's a 5-star, I'll take that with a pinch of salt, just as I would if it was 5 reviews and it's a 3.5. But if there's hundreds of reviews, then I think you probably more than likely you can take that a little bit more for as a real reflection of what guests feel. I think there is. You're right. I don't leave many reviews, and when I do, it's normally just if I feel that someone should be particularly rewarded because of particularly good service, and then I give a 5-star, and if it's someone I want, a business that I really want to do well, I'll give it a 5-star because I feel that a 5-star will attract more attention. But actually, I've heard a few. I've seen a few sort of Instagram reels recently that someone was talking about how if you really want to find where the best coffee is, look for the 2 and 4-star reviews, in particularly the 2-star reviews.
Oh, really?
Because if someone, it's an interesting one, and they were talking about, if you could see someone's reviewed a place and they said the service was terrible, but the coffee was pretty good. The chances are that coffee probably is pretty good, because anyone who says the service was absolutely terrible and they wanted to give a 1-star review, but they just couldn't help but say, actually, the coffee was pretty good.
Pretty safe
so
bet.
They gave it a 2-star review.
It also depends on how you like your coffee. And in my dad's case, if it's not a hot coffee that, burns his lips off, then he's not going to leave a 5-star review. So it's, I guess it is, again, comes down to that kind of subjective nature. But
which is why the more reviews, the better.
Yeah. So I mean, you've just said yourself, and we work in the industry. We're not inclined, and we probably should be more inclined to leave reviews. But how do we encourage guests to leave reviews? I mean, what are the sort of tips and tricks and tools that would be available for hospitality businesses to really try to get those guest reviews? What would motivate guests to leave a review?
Well, it's a very tricky one, actually. In the olden days, you would just ask people to leave you a review and leave you a positive review, ideally. But obviously, Google doesn't want you to do that. They don't want to have any reviews that look like they've been sort of really encouraged. So I think the best thing you can do is have some sort of system for finding feedback yourself. So whether that's a sort of a survey that you send out after a guest's stay, or however you plan on doing that, but then maybe sort of hinting in the direction when you maybe get a positive review that comes through, maybe hint in the direction of, we would prefer you to leave a review with Google as opposed to TripAdvisor, or the other way around, and whatever that might be. But it's a tricky one to encourage guests. But I think ultimately the way you speak to customers on the platform has a big impact on how people will want to review you. So if you respond to maybe negative reviews, sort of thanking guests for feedback, and that you will certainly use their feedback to try and improve the service or the processes that you have in your hotel or your property. I think that will, and then actually follow through and actually do that, and customers can actually see those changes and they can see how everything improves. I think people will be more likely to share feedback with someone who's engaging back with them. I think it's very similar in social media, really. I think if there's engagement on there, I think people are more likely to want to leave reviews. But if there's nothing and there isn't really any incentive to leave a review because you don't think the owner is going to listen to you or agree with you, I think the other one is if the owner or the responder leaves absolutely hilariously emotionally charged reviews, I think is also something that
see
someone...
some sort of defensive responses.
Absolutely. I mean, who wouldn't love to give a Google review of Basil Fawlty and Fawlty Towers and have him come back at you insulting you? Everyone would love to be insulted by Basil Fawlty, and that would probably encourage reviews, but not necessarily positive ones. But I think just communicating with your customers outside of their stays, so after they stay with you, and some sort of communication with them, encouraging them to leave reviews, encouraging them to come back again directly, I think is going to build an authentic relationship with them.
And I think, bringing it back to, it is really rewarding to have those reviews, whether it's recognising a particular team member that's provided some exceptional service, or, even if it's, feedback is a gift that, we can, as you say, take action. So, if there's a consistent issue with something, we can fix it. And I think sometimes the worst thing that can happen is that we just don't find out if that guest has had an issue, and they just simply don't come back. They book somewhere else. So I think it is it's important to have that communication when you're on property, to really sense check that guest's experience, and if there are some issues, really trying to address that and resolve it while they're on property. There can be often occasions where guests will just simply be so fed up, and they'll just go on and leave a review and not even really engage with the on-property team to give them an opportunity to rectify the issue. They'll just go online and just leave a terrible review. So I think, using those kind of high traffic touch points, whether it's like breakfast or if you have kind of evening drinks with guests, or you have these sort of moments where you can engage with your guests, really trying to get those in-person reviews. And yes, that doesn't necessarily give you the Google review that supports your SEO efforts, but again, that might give them the sort of impetus to then leave a review because you've really taken time to solve an issue. And I think there's that really interesting statistic that a guest that's had no issues and has had a great stay are actually less likely to return than someone who has had an issue that's been resolved really well, and they are completely then kind of sold into like the whole experience and will return as a loyal guest.
Yeah, we always saw those sort of problems that customers might have as an opportunity to really make an impact and really connect with them, because you do find yourself in a situation when you're trying to recover a situation that you make an extra little effort to make people happy, and absolutely they are much more likely to leave a really positive review afterwards. But also when just the guests that are having a kind of a so-so time, I think it's always worth contacting them as well, because maybe someone at breakfast might ask them, so how's your stay? And if someone says okay means different things to a lot of people, doesn't it? Someone like, oh, okay, that's good. it's not okay is really on the borderline, and with more time left to go in their stay, it could still go either way. That could easily fall from a 3 to a 2 star, or it could go from a 3 to a 4 to a 5.
And I think it's empowering your team and giving them the tools to feel confident to ask those questions. And I know, again, it's someone in our family who, their pet peeve whenever we go out for dinner, and the server comes up to us and says, "Is everything okay?" And they're like, "Well, yeah, it's okay." Oh, great. So, you're not giving your guest the opportunity to engage and actually, how is everything, and sort of more open questions, and, be much more personal. Oh, how was the recommendation of fish that are you enjoying it? Or how is the wine pairing with, this that we suggested? So I think, just, it's really subtle, but I think that there's still little nuances that can just help to elevate and feel that the guest has been listened to and being kind of recognised. So we've kind of, I suppose, covered the reviews that people might leave on different platforms on property. But there's definitely been conversations around sort of fake reviews and what the risk is to businesses, and I guess it is just an ever evolving challenge of people leaving fake reviews or untruthful reviews as well, where there's been they've maybe had an expectation around something and they've created a rather embellished version of the truth and posted that online, and businesses are then having to react and deal with that in a very public forum. So I think it's great to move those conversations into an inbox, and same on social media. If somebody's really adding a lot of negative reviews to a post because of something they may have a personal issue with, just really kind of getting those into the DM, getting them onto an email, getting their email address or giving them a contact email, and moving that quickly offline, but showing in a public environment that you are taking action and dealing with that, I think is really key. But there's definitely still the challenge I think that operators face with fake reviews, or with maybe influencers who are reviewing and recommending things that are potentially not as credible as we think. So
and look, and I know the reason for it. I mean, it's a hard industry to work in, and it's sort of the long hours, and you put everything into it, and when you see something that is not true or just not the case, it can really have an impact on you, and you're very tempted to kind of become a keyboard warrior yourself and get back at them. But from all of my experience, I've really noticed that most of the time, even those reviews that you think are untruthful, they are the customer's truth, if you know what I mean. They might believe it to be true, which from your perspective, from there, that is truth. Really, it's a perception of truth. So it is really important that we understand that, and that's why you get so many responses like, "I'm sorry you feel that way," or "I'm sorry that you feel that this was the case," but and that sometimes works really well in that situation, just to say a sorry, not necessarily a sorry accepting responsibility, but a sorry, and then let's take it offline and let's do an email address. We'd love to connect directly. But too often you do see, well, I remember that morning and you said this and then I said this, and then that's clearly not the case. And it's like, well, because then the customer doesn't actually have another chance to respond to that, like on Google. They don't have another chance to respond, so the chances are they might just put another review in, so there you've got 2 1-star reviews that you have to deal with. So the quicker you can take it offline, the better, no matter how emotionally charged the situation might be getting.
And I know some hospitality groups have different, I suppose, approaches and standards in terms of replying to reviews. So some might just only choose to respond to the 1 and 2-star review or 5-star. What's your kind of thoughts around responding to reviews? Is it all of them? In what sort of timescale should you be commenting?
Well, I think consistency is the most important thing. I think if you respond to just some of the 5-star reviews, or if you respond to just some of the negative reviews, I think sometimes people might get a bit annoyed. And then I think consistency of the amount of time it takes to respond to reviews. Now, it does take work, but I think you need to have a process in place depending on the number of reviews you have, and obviously if you want to put together a process where you want to get more reviews, then you also have to accept that you're going to have a strategy to actually deal with those reviews as well, and respond to them. I think the ones that are responded to are just going to have a better impact. I mean, what's the reason that you want to have reviews that people see them positively? I think if they look like the same reviews to every single one, if you just cut and paste a review, that's not good. I've definitely seen people who've cut and paste reviews and they've addressed the wrong person.
Classic.
That's one of my worst ones. Dear whatever, the summer 69 or something like that, to 3 or 4 reviews, and it's just it's terrible. But I think short and sweet works fine in those situations. I don't think you want to get into things in too much detail in that sort of situation. Recognising
and sort of what action you might be taking, particularly if they've had a negative experience that you need to resolve.
And there's lots of tools that you can use to sort of bring all those reviews together. We work with a few different CRMs,
reputation management tools.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's
I think having it in one place is key. And again, coming back to consistency, being able to track and monitor which reviews have been responded to, and also looking at sentiment as well. So there's some really interesting tools around sentiment analysis that you can extract the sort of positive words attributed to their experience and the negative, and you can really sort of look through, and you might need to have a maintenance program across bathrooms or water pressure, or that there's consistently something to do with the welcome experience. You need to just go and fine tune with your team. So I think using that as a way and as a gift to evolve your processes is really key. So in terms of making it easy for guests to review, we've touched on sort of post-stay surveys. I've seen some really cool sort of gamification where you're sort of asked a number of different questions, and it takes you on a really kind of inspiring journey, and kind of gives you something at the end, but actually all the way through that they are kind of extracting information and reviews of their platform. So I think there's definitely more creative ways of asking someone to leave you feedback. So I think kind of trying to sort of stay ahead of the curve with that, and not get really stale, as you say, like, how was your stay? And people are like, oh, it was all right. I don't have time for this right now. So I think just looking at how you can create a sort of interesting engagement is going to be really sort of key with that. And then in terms of sort of having a strategy for reviewing all of the different platforms, increasing the number of reviews. I guess, it's all just about creating the motivation for guests to do that. Any kind of additional thoughts around, I suppose, approaching that review strategy for the on-property teams, because there are so many, it can feel a bit overwhelming, can't it?
Yeah. I've often found that sometimes some properties can have 3 or 4 different even profiles within each platform as well. So they might have a Google review for the restaurant, and a Google review for the bar, and a Google review for the hotel. And I think even that just adds more work for employees to kind of manage it all. But also confusion for customers as well. I think you really do want to make it really clear to customers where they can leave reviews, and sometimes that is, and it has to be the right one for you. You want, if you're going to encourage someone to leave a Google review, you want to have it the right profile, and you want to have maybe a QR code on a business card, or in a public area, or something like that, or some sort of beacon thing, sort of NFT beacon or something like that within the property, that they can easily leave reviews. But ideally, you want to try and get people to start leaving reviews on your own platforms as well, so you can use that feedback as for continuous improvement, like you've mentioned.
Yeah.
So if there's those tools, it'd be great on websites, on your own website. Using whatever way you can to entice people to do that.
There's some really interesting plugins that bring in the different reviews. So when you get someone onto your website, you want to keep them there and not sort of they're not kind of enticed to go off and just check reviews on Booking.com and TripAdvisor, and then potentially either book through those channels, so you're paying your commission, or even worse, booking a different property and then you've lost that guest. So by aggregating and bringing the reviews onto your own website in a separate page, or even within the homepage in many ways, just to really give the guest the confidence and that external endorsement that this hotel, this restaurant, this experience is really highly regarded, and you should book now. So,
and obviously then you also have a bit of control over just having the 4 and 5 star reviews, or published on there as well. I suppose you do have a bit more.
They're a bit more control. And I think it's great to then repurpose those reviews, using them as testimonials in your marketing, using on social media, and kind of dropping in reviews as part of your kind of content strategy on social media, and just to help to amplify that. One of the lovely clients we work with, they celebrate every single review that mentions a team member, and they'll give them a little gift and do a lovely little photo with the general manager, and it's really rewarding. And we share that on social media, and those posts have the highest engagement because people can really see the impact that that's having on that particular team member, and that kind of strive towards operational excellence and better and consistently better service. So there's some really lovely examples, I think, of that celebration of reviews and thanking guests for taking the time to receive them.
Mm-hmm. And I guess, and ultimately as well, you can, when you're doing it on your own platforms, you can ask questions that you want to ask. So if there's areas of your business that you'd like more feedback on, you can add those questions into your surveys or reviews or whatever it might be, and you get that little bit more information that you're looking for, and that could change. That can evolve over time if you find yourself focusing on a different thing, or it's seasonal or whatever it might be. You can ask those questions, and you want to ask those open questions. You don't want to lead people down a certain path saying, was this the best part of your stay? Yes or no? It doesn't really give people a lot of choice, but keeping them open and trying to get that information and then doing something with it is really key.
Great. Well, I think, we've kind of really sort of looked at the importance of guest reviews, both as a powerful marketing tool to support your operations team with making those kind of personalised interactions and making sort of updates and resolving certain issues, and using it as a tool to really elevate what you do. And I think, encouraging our guests to share their experiences with us, both in a positive way and in a constructive way, just allows us as hoteliers to really evolve and improve our service interactions. So a really important part of the whole sort of guest experience, I think.
Thank you for listening to The Halo Effect, Hospitality Stories with Ashleigh and Michael Donald.
Hope that this has helped fellow hospitality people and entrepreneurs who may be on a similar journey.
If you would like to suggest any topics for future episodes, ask us a question, or would like to join us on a future episode of the podcast, then please get in touch. We've linked up our contact details in the show notes.
Don't forget to like and subscribe or follow The Halo Effect on whatever platform you listen to your podcasts. We look forward to welcoming you back to the next episode of The Halo Effect, Hospitality Stories with Ashleigh and Michael Donald.